In the build-up to the Liberty Bowl matchup between Texas Tech and Mississippi State, Mike Leach, who is coach now at both schools, threw an absolute Molotov cocktail of accusations at Texas Tech, his former employer with whom he's been in a legal dispute for the past 12 years over his firing. And you know what? Even if it's not perfect, even if a lot of this feels fairly reckless by Mike Leach, I am 110% here for it because this is what makes bowl matchups actually interesting, especially in a day and age now where they are losing value. Welcome into the channel. I am John Kurtz. Here on this channel, you get a Big 12 slant on college football. We talk college football all week on the channel, 2 live shows per week, and supplement it with some extra content as well. Please do subscribe and click the alert bell if you have not here on the channel. Would highly encourage it if you are into college football. All right, guys, this is very entertaining, man. And Texas Tech fans, I feel for you for a lot of reasons, which I will get into. But Mike Leach, to set the stage here, of course, was at Texas Tech until 2009. He was fired after the whole Craig James incident and was fired with cause. So he has been trying to get $2.6 million out of Texas Tech the entire time. For 12 years, there's been an ongoing legal dispute between the two schools. Leach made it through about 20 minutes of this press conference before going off, but then he did go off. Here's a portion of the comments where Leach really throws some heavy accusations at Tech, especially the former leadership there.
I've been willing to settle this thing for a long time, but they don't seem to be willing to. So, I think that's unfortunate. So I think all the people there are great, but some of the leadership is, they're at least when I was there, was very sleazy and slimy and dirty, and I enjoyed naming names on it too, and which I might as well, but they all know who they are, and the Tech people know who they are too. So, we should get this thing settled. They should pay me, and we should all celebrate achievements together. But that doesn't seem to be what they have in mind. And they talk about they had some investigation or something. They never had an investigation. They lied about having an investigation, and then they won't produce the documents to prove they had an investigation. Well, that just goes to show you how Kent Hans and some of his little cronies, how sleazy those guys are. And so let's go ahead and see it. And then, of course, it's going to illustrate they lied to the fans and everybody else. So, and then they continue to hide documents on everything from sexual assault and everything else. So, the leadership of anywhere that categorically and that hides documents that the public has a right to see. Well, think about that. And it's really a shame because the good people in Lubbock, Texas and West Texas deserve quite a lot better.
All right, so to give you some background on this and set it all up before I offer my opinion here, what you just heard, some of that may be lacking some context. So here from a USA Today article is a pretty good synopsis of where things are at. It says Leach has battled his former employer for the last 12 years. Leach bashed former Texas Tech Chancellor Kent Hans, said there was no investigation into his treatment of wide receiver Adam James, and said the school has illegally hidden public records from him and his representation. Leach still disputes the validity of the for-cause firing, $2.5 million he feels like he is owed. Leach said forever is how long he'll battle Texas Tech in court because he has nothing to lose, okay? So Leach is still going to continue to fight this battle. And of course, it goes back to the original situation in 2009, which was about James accusing Leach and his staff of locking him in a dark room. This is Adam James. Craig James was his father. Adam James accused Leach of locking him in a dark room after he suffered a concussion. Craig James, Adam James' father, ESPN personality, former member of the Pony Express, said at the time that he was obviously backing his son here and he wanted Leach fired. So Texas Tech President Guy Bailey asked Leach to write a letter of apology to James and his family. Leach refused. He was then suspended on December 28th of 2009. Eventually, Leach filed a temporary restraining order against Texas Tech, hoping to still coach the bowl game. But Bailey, according to court records and athletic director Gerald Myers, decided the relationship was probably broken and fired Leach for cause on December 30th, 2009. So since then, 12 years later, you've had all these legal battles. It at one point made it to the Texas Supreme Court. They rejected Mike Leach's appeal in 2012 without an opinion. In recent years, Leach has enlisted the help of Wayne Dolcefino, who runs an investigative media consulting firm who has battled Texas Tech over public information records requests. So this is a mess. It's been a mess. It's still ongoing. Leach and Mississippi State supposedly did not want this bowl game against Texas Tech at first. Eventually it happened. And now, look, as a neutral observer, I'm very much here for it. There are a lot of things that I believe about this situation. Number one, I believe Mike Leach more than I do Craig James. Craig James, I do not have a lot of respect for in this whole scenario and the way that everything played out. I think Mike Leach has a point about the $2.6 million. There was never a full investigation completed into his treatment of Adam James. And that was because, as you read there, the decision was made that, hey, this relationship's broken beyond repair. We're just going to fire him with cause. Leach never really got like a full investigation into that situation and what happened. So I am more on the Mike Leach side of things. First and foremost, let me get that out of the way in terms of Leach versus the old Texas Tech administration. And I would imagine, Tech fans, tell me in the comments, I would imagine most Tech fans would be much more on Mike Leach's side and unhappy at how all of this shook out in the end, right? However, Mike Leach throwing some of this stuff out there feels pretty reckless, man. I mean, he's talking about covering up sexual assault at Texas Tech. Now, this has not come completely out of nowhere because Dolcefino, I just mentioned him, he submitted new legal action against Texas Tech just last week, alleging that the university withheld sexual assault records from the Board of Education. But I don't know, man, if we're getting into this, did Leach know this whole time? Like, there were sexual assault allegations that he didn't do anything about at the time? That leads to a number of more questions that I have about Mike Leach in this whole scenario, and he is just going to, I feel somewhat flimsily, throw these allegations out there at a press conference. Dolcefino, there's a quote from him here in this USA Today article. He says, they cheated Coach Leach, and to cover it up, they will violate public record laws with abandon, even records that directly affect the safety of the young women on their campuses. So he's definitely sticking by his guns as far as that goes. I'll just say this before I get into the bowl game element of it. All of this just, it sucks for Texas Tech. I feel for Tech fans, one, because of how this worked out, and you lost your guy. You lost the guy that did so much good for that program, and it just makes it so that you can't fully enjoy that, fully appreciate it, fully embrace it, if there is still this ongoing battle between the two sides. It always is going to be a little bit there that taints some of this, whether you want it to or not, and no matter what side of the aisle you are actually on in the Craig James dispute way back when. But as it relates to right now, man, this makes for such a fun bowl matchup. In a day and age when bowls are falling by the wayside, left and right, teams are bailing out very quickly. They don't mean much anymore. Players don't want to play. They're opting out. This is the kind of juice that makes a matchup like this really fun, right? Like, these are the kinds of matchups we want to see. Kansas and Missouri finally playing in basketball. Texas and Texas A&M get together and play in football. Obviously, that's going to happen to the SEC here eventually. But being forced in a bowl game to put these storylines together is a great thing for everybody involved. And I would imagine that the bowl is going to find this out, man. The Liberty Bowl is lower on the pecking order. I've been there twice. No offense to the Liberty Bowl, but it just usually does not carry this kind of juice, and we now have it here, man. So I would think even Texas Tech, look, the Tech players there right now, they have no reason to really care much about Mike Leach, but now you're seeing this come through the news cycle, and your school kind of get drugged through the mud here by the opposing coach that you're about to play. So I would think that makes you more alert, more in tune, more ready to go. It gives you some motivation. Hell, we just saw Alabama's Will Anderson manufacture this quote that Alabama's been slept on the entire year and they're the underdog in this game against Cincinnati when they're 13.5-point favorites. Players look for anything. Coaches look for anything to motivate them and find slights. Here's one right here for Texas Tech and their players to be more galvanized for this game. And you know that Mike Leach is fired up for it, and I would imagine Mississippi State's players are as well, to play for their guy, to play for their coach here in this game. So spicing up the Liberty Bowl, a very good thing. I think it'll be a very good thing for all of us, even if some of this gets really messy at Texas Tech, and obviously some of it with some very heavy weight to it, the sexual assault allegations as well. There's a lot that's going to need to be played out as far as that is concerned. I would not have expected this to be the forum for Leach, but hey, at least now we have some intrigue and more reason to watch this game. Let me know in the comments what you think, Texas Tech fans in particular. I am curious of your thoughts on all of this. Follow me on Twitter at JLKurtz. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. Big 12 Slant here on college football throughout every single week. Take care, and I appreciate you guys for watching.